Hi guys, this is just supposed to be a quick video. Basically I was using Plex, and Plex needs a media server, and I could actually rent one for to actually use this that has all shows on there, or I can basically just make my own using my own computer. Because I had my personal Plex server that I was talking about in an older video was basically it failed. The CPU made magic smoke, which means the CPU just cooked itself, and so now I don't have that Plex server anymore. And so I have another NAS that can run Plex, but it's just too slow for what I need it to do. And so basically, I tried installing it. It didn't work as well as the computer did. I always have another computer behind me, behind the camera, that I could install Plex onto, but I would have to transfer my data onto like there, and I didn't want to do actually that because it's a computer I use for recording, and the computer um because of I should have did it probably by using a actual server grade CPU like a Xeon one that's meant for this kind of heavy workload, or an Epic CPU. But on my personal one, but I didn't want to use all the power, so I just used something that was low power and that was cheaper, just for the personal Plex server, not for the professional one. The professional one is actually works, and I can put my data on there, but I don't want to share actually that with the share all that bandwidth. So so basically, I was looking for other solutions. So I have an Apple TV because I was running Plex on my Apple TV, the Plex app on my Apple TV, and it was working fine. Till recently, I noticed the computer, it was quiet wherever the computer was, and it wouldn't respond. So I checked the power supply. The power supply still works. Graphic card still works. Everything else still works except for the CPU. The CPU killed the motherboard, killed the CPU, and the CPU because the CPU just died somehow because I was looking on the board. There was a blown cap on there somehow. Not a big deal. So I was looking of other ways to actually have my media accessible. So there's a couple things I did. So on my Apple TV, I installed VLC, this app right here, and it worked. It showed my media on my NAS, but it didn't have any images. So what I did was I got this software right here, Infuse. So what Infuse is a software. It costs 99 cents to have 1 month, like 20 bucks to do to have it for 6 months, and then $75 just for the lifetime. And with the lifetime one, you get the upgrade to the next one. So if you got Infuse 5, you get free upgrade to Infuse 6. And if you got Infuse 6, you have a free upgrade to Infuse 7. And if you have Infuse 7, which is what I have, you get a free upgrade to Infuse 8 when it comes out. So when you go to Infuse, you basically, this is just how it was, because of it doesn't use the same Plex setup as it doesn't use the same method for naming scheme as Plex. So some of the stuff that did work in Plex worked in here, so I had to rename a couple of them. For example, like Bento, who didn't properly appear, and I just had to change the metadata, and so it works. So in order to get it to work, because when we get infused, it's nothing here. So you go to settings. So let me show you. So you go to settings, and then you go to where it says library. You actually can go to Icloud Sync if you have a bigger iCloud account. You can basically sync your media there. You can use Track It, There's app icons, which is light. You have true blacks, where if you're using an OLED, this is what it's for. Show file names, sort order, so you can have it sort by title. You can have file management on. You can show posters, list view, metadata fetch, embedded metadata. So if your media already has metadata in there, you can fetch metadata and out of there. So if you rip these, then whatever's on the media that you ripped, then you would have to make sure you have them proper named. Watch indicator, and then hide spoilers. Collection. So with this one, I'll show you with that. With auto select next on modern view, you can clear all metadata, which there's 2 gigs of metadata. This is a 64 gig. This is 32 gigabyte one. So I can have a lot more metadata. There's subtitles, continuous playback, resume playback, chapter control, streaming cache, playback speed, audio, which is like set to auto. So if it's Japanese, it'll be Japanese. If it's English, it'll be English. There's subtitles for the metadata. I mean metadata for subtitles, I'd say. You can basically change parental control. You can have restrictions. You can search, lock search. You can submit diagnosis and stuff like that. But when you first set it up, you want to go to, because there's a library, which is all of your stuff that you will scan. So you go to shares, and then you basically go to shares, and then if you have a NAS, it should appear right here. If you have like a Windows computer running a network share, you could just run Plex at that point. But this is just for if you have a computer that is low power that can't transcode, but you have it for just storing data, like a Pentium/Cell on CPU, 8 gigs RAM minimum, and running like TrueNAS, Unraid, whatever, and have four extra drives. So you're going to use the software. Let me just go to over here. This is my laptop. You're going to have to use a software called Filebot. I'll show you, to make sure this stuff is named properly. For example, this is the software. And as you can see, that's what it looks like. And you rename them. I would do an actual scan, just so, because if you change something and then it doesn't appear right, because if you go back to here, so most of my movies, so how I have it sorted in Plex, I have a movie folder, and I have a TV show folder or anime, and then I have stuff like that. And so for my movies are this was in my anime folder, which technically counts as a movie, but it got scanned from the anime folder and put into the movie folder. And then most of the Pokemon movies here are basically sorted by generation, so as in collection. So if you look right here, it's Pokemon Black and White movies are separated into the Best Wishes collections. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl collection movies are stored here. Pokemon X and Y are stored here. Pokemon Advance is stored here, and Detective Pikachu. And also the Pokemon collection, which is the original Pokemon movies from Pokemon, the first movie, Pokemon 2000, Pokemon 3, or the older movie. So it basically sorts them into collections. For example, like Secret Life of Pets is sorted together in collection one is collection, and it's just movie 1 and 2, and um then this was also in my anime collection folder. It got put into the movie folder, and for Inspector Gadget was just two separate movies in Plex, but they're put in collections. Same with the Deadpool movies, and also most of the Marvel, most of the Avenger movies that I have, which is just Endgame and Infinity War, and Back to the Future Part 1, 2, and 3 are put into a collection. And yeah, so there's that for that one. And so for my anime, most of these didn't actually show up properly. For example, this one showed up as a horror movie called Underbar Summer. And so when you use Filebot to like name it, it basically calls it underscore summer instead of, and if you type in underbar summer, it just doesn't show up in Filebot. But if you name it, if you name it, um, but if you type in underbar summer under infuse, you literally get the option to basically it comes up. And so, for example, dot hack, how I had to name dot hack in Underplex was that dot hack was named dot and then hack instead of the dot hack, because if you put in dot hack under Windows, it basically hides it because it thinks it's an invisible folder. And so with actually infuse, it picks up the dot hack because it's actually, I renamed it to actually dot hack in the Linux subsystem, which fixed the issue of it not being invisible. It's just a Windows issue, an NTFS issue. And so, oops, sorry about that. I just accidentally opened Apple. So basically, going back to here, same with dot hack Legend of Twilight Bracelet. It's another dot hack show, and so yeah, um, I had to name it also as dot hack and Legend of Twilight Bracelet. I couldn't put the / in there because that also wouldn't actually pick up under Windows either. And then for most of these, some of these I had to rename just so they will get picked up properly. For example, let's see. Where is it? I don't know where it's at, but oh yeah, here it is. So this one was basically named. It was a live action show that wouldn't come up, and until I actually had to search it up properly. I had to rename it properly on the software on Filebot, because in Plex it would detect this, but under Infuse it didn't detect it the way it was named. So I had to name it a different way, and it worked. And some of these just didn't appear in there. So I'll show you some examples that I haven't actually finished setting this up yet. This is just most of the stuff because I've been renaming stuff for the past hour to 2 hours just so I could basically get it to work. Basically, in others, most of the stuff that you saw in there first appeared in here. So what you see in here are shows that have to be renamed properly. For example, this is a live action movie I actually wanted to actually watch, and it wasn't named properly. It was named Freshly Plex, but it wasn't named properly. Same with Moncali Nights, even though it shows up as Season 1, Episode 8, or for example, this one, it's not named properly for Infuse. It's named properly for Plex, and it would show up properly in Plex, but for Infuse, it doesn't for some reason. Haven't figured out why. it should just be a normal naming scheme based on all of them. And then some other shows that are also part of that. This one is just a 5 episode show that is based off of a game, and it was just a promo video for actually the game, a promo anime, and it's called Soul Workers, and it's a pretty fun game. Then there is this one which didn't name properly because of how it's actually written here, because it's Tenchi Muyo Tenchi Universe. So basically, this should be, if I recall correctly, because it's just called Tenchi Universe. Under most modern most actually sources just say it's Tenchi universe, because Tenchi Muyo is on all the DVDs. I actually have I have the DVDs for all of the stuff, and it's been ripped, but it was named properly for actually Plex. So when I basically, because I'll show you one that I just renamed, which was Love Dolls, which is an idol anime. And so basically, scrolling down, here it is, Love Dolls. So this one, how it was renamed. So if you hold the center button, edit metadata. So before it was called Lovely Dolls. So basically, BH4 it said Love Doll and then Lovely Idols. That's how most actual sources source it as. But then when I changed the name of episode 1 to Lovely Idols, minusing the squiggly lines, I forgot what they're called, and minusing the Love Doll part, it ends up it shows up like this, but it is a the letters aren't detectable as English under here. But if you go back to the metadata that I just showed you, it shows right here as Lovely Idols, which it doesn't show actually that in the video. I mean on the video's title. So yeah. And yeah, so that is everything else got got kind of split up personally, because I'm probably just wasn't put as a collection, because it's through 3 seasons. Like at first, some of these shows got split up so bad because they weren't named properly, and they were just showing up as their local metadata instead of how it sees it on the official videos website, the official source data. So most of the stuff did not show up. For example, like this did not appear, which is the Ultimate Otaku Teacher. That one did not appear properly because of this, of how it was named, and neither did Two Car. But most of this stuff is in English, unless all of it's in English. The titles, at least, except for that one, so it shows up at the very bottom because it's sorted by readable characters first, and then non-readable after. So yeah, this is kind of my overview of it. So I haven't actually tested to see if a movie would actually play, but I'm just gonna pause it and tell you if something plays that I had issues playing before, because it said it can play everything. So I'm just gonna try something that I know is not at full. That's not at a. That's not, what would you call it? MP4. So I'll be right back. So I just tried Agatha, and the truth of murder, and basically it plays. And this was one that was recorded live, so it's not MP4, it's TS, so it plays it, and that just means there's no transcoding needed for this because it can play it raw, because it's actually it actually works perfectly fine. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is what I'm using right here to do this, since this is a um second gen 4K Apple TV, where here's our remote. It's chargeable, and it has a scroll, but that's the box right there. And yeah, so I hope you like the way this is set up. And I hope I convince you to get the software if you have an Apple TV instead of using Plex, because Plex, I'm not gonna stop using Plex because I have a lifetime membership. I just gotta wait until I can get a simple machine that I can hook up to actually Plex. That I can put actually Plex on, something that basically something almost like a 2012 Mac Mini, or something that has better longevity, because I'm thinking about getting a little Intel NUC and installing Linux on that, or and then running on there, or getting a 2011 Mac Mini, which is still perfectly fine just for a personal Plex server, and getting a 10 terabyte hard drive just for that specifically, because I don't want to put any data. I don't want to stream the NAS through the Mac Mini to actually Plex. I mean to Plex, because there will be input latency, and all I have to do is change the hard drive for the Mac Mini 2011 or 2012 into to an actual to an SSD, or get a 2014 Mac Mini, which is still perfectly fine for it. Yeah, it might not be the fastest for everyday usage, but just for a simple Plex server, for like a 3-person Plex server, or just a Plex server that is meant to be accessed by 2 HTTP people at once, just for personal stuff, then, because it already has an SSD in there, and it's also um they're pretty cheap too, and you can get them brand new for around $300, which, yeah, that's about half the price of like an M1 chip one, but Plex doesn't work on M1 properly at the moment, as far as I know. No issues so far. People have been running into issues with Plex running on an M1 chip. So yeah, this will just be for this will be fresh now. And if I add more actual data, it's easy to like scan. I just have to make sure when adding more data, I have to make sure it's named properly. And and this is for anime stuff. For like movies, haven't figured out a way yet. But with movies, I actually have I use the source day data from actual from the website, where I got Tomb Raider working probably it because I found the legit title. For anime, I use Mal, or my anime list, which I use for just getting the specific if the English name doesn't work, then I use the other names, because it gives you all name options on my anime list for like anime, so you can basically name the proper one that shows up on Infuse. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Bye.